Friends, let me talk to you now about the budget estimates of the Government of India for the financial year 2020-21. So the size of budget estimates, it is 30,42,000 crores. And the budget estimates again, what we call the annual financial statement, it is prepared for the expenditure net of refunds and recoveries. Therefore, the actual expenditure of Government of India, the proposed expenditure for this year, it is not 30,42,000 crores. Also, the budget provision is made for 30,42,000, but it will be little more than that. And Government of India also plans to utilize the resources of public enterprises to the tune of 6,72,000 crores towards the expenditure, and therefore the total expenditure is likely to be 37,15,000 crores. And let us first concentrate on the expenditure budget, and afterwards we will see the receipts budget. So coming to the major heads under which the budget estimates are distributed, they are the central sector schemes, the subsidies, centrally sponsored schemes, the establishment expenditure, interest payments, funds to autonomous bodies, funds to central public sector enterprises, the transfers to the states, that is through finance commission transfers and other loans and grants. So these are some of the major heads. So the expenditure also is classified under these major heads, major, minor, detailed and activity heads. So let us now go into the details of the amounts that are set aside against each of these major heads. So central sector schemes, 5,70,000 crores is set aside, and for subsidies, 2,62,000 crores provision is made. Centrally sponsored schemes, 3,40,000 crores is earmarked. For the establishment expenditure, 6,10,000 crores. For the interest payment, 7,08,000 crores. For autonomous bodies, 83,000 crores. For the central public sector undertakings, 93,000 crores. And for the transfers to the states by the Finance Commission and also by way of other loans and grants, a provision of 3,73,000 crores has been made in our budget estimate, or say in our annual financial statement. So it totals to 30,42,000 crores. Now, let us see the details. So what are the details for these major heads? For example, the central sector schemes, the major head. Some of the major schemes that are included under central sector schemes. See, the central sector schemes are the schemes which are directly operated by the Government of India. That is through their departments. They are directly funded, they are directly operated, and they are the schemes of the Government of India. So here, 8,32,000 crores has been set aside, including the subsidies. So without subsidies, it is 5,70,000 crores. The major schemes under this heading, they are the Prime Minister Kisan Samman Nidhi, Prime Minister Kisan Sampada Yojana, the inter-subsidy for short-term loans of the farmers, the R&D in IT, R&D in electronics, the exploration of coal, oil, the National Investment Infrastructure Fund, the National Bank for Agriculture, Agricultural and Rural Development, that is the NABARD schemes, HEFA, the Higher Education Funding Agency scheme, National Industrial Development Corridor, investment in ECGC, that is the Export Credit Guarantee Corporation, promotion of electronics and the IT hardware manufacturing, the National Ganga Plan, the Metropolitan Transportation Project, the National Highways Authority of India, the Central Silk Road, the Space Technology, INSAT Systems, Biotech R&D subsidy. So these are all the schemes, central sector schemes, for which 5,70,000 crores has been set aside. And these central sector schemes, again, they are classified into the economic services, general services, social services, and others, depending on the nature of services of these schemes. For example, the activities undertaken by the departments like the railways, postal, communication, energy, the atomic energy, science and technology, rural development, the foreign trade and export, civil supplies, civil aviation, shipping, transport, even tourism, energy, irrigation, animal husbandry, fisheries, agriculture, forestry, and wildlife. So these are all the economic services departments. So for this, out of this 5,70,000 crores, 3,76,000 crores has been earmarked. And now let us see what are the other services like the general services. So coming to general services, the services provided by the departments like defense, that is Air Force, Navy, the DRDO, Defense Production, Ordnance Factories, the Police, Department of Jails, Public Service Commission, the Supplies and Disposals, Public Works Department. So these are all the general services for which 1,22,000 crores has been earmarked in the budget. And similarly, for the social services, that is for the services rendered by the departments like our education, sports, art and culture, the medical and public health, family welfare, housing, urban, the information and publicity, broadcasting, labor and employment. So for these services, 39,000 crores has been earmarked in our budget. So all this put together, it comes to 5,70,000 crores. And similarly, for these subsidies again, besides this, a sum of 2,62,000 crores has been set aside. So, in this again, the subsidy on fertilizer 71,000 crores, for food 1,16,000 crores, for petroleum it is 41,000 crores, so others it's about 34,000 crores. So, total subsidy amount earmarked is 2,62,000 crores. So, this is all about the central sector schemes. Then comes the major head centrally sponsored schemes. See, the difference between the central schemes and the centrally sponsored schemes is that central sector schemes, they are the direct services of the government of India, directly operated by them, directly operated by the government of India departments. Whereas centrally sponsored schemes, they are the schemes of government of India, but they are sponsored to the states and union territories for its execution. They are funded by government of India. So there is only an indirect control and not direct control of these sponsored schemes. So for these centrally sponsored schemes, 3,40,000 crores has been earmarked in our budget estimates in our annual financial statement. So in the centrally sponsored schemes, again, there are two categories of schemes, the core of the core schemes and the core schemes. Core of the core, they are very few in number. They are the National Social Assistance Program, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Development Program, the Umbrella Scheme for the Development of SC/ST, for the development of the minorities, for the development of other vulnerable groups. So for this, 2 lakh, only 85,000 crores, 85,000 crores has been set aside for the core of the core schemes out of 3,40,000 crores. And for the core schemes, which are, I mean, large in number, there are about 30 core schemes. For this, 2,55,000 crores has been set aside. So they are the examples for the core schemes are the Green Revolution, Blue Revolution, White Revolution, the Prime Minister Kisan Sanchay Yojana, Prime Minister Sadak Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, both urban and Grameen, the National Health Mission, National Education Mission, the Midday Meals Program, the Mission for the Protection and Empowerment of the Woman, similarly the Jobs and the Skill Development Program, the Ayushman Bharat Program. So these are all the schemes coming under the core schemes. And next comes the establishment expenditure. So coming to the establishment expenditure, an estimate of 6 crore 10,000, 6 lakh 10,000, 6 lakh 10,000 crores has been made. So out of this 6 lakh 10,000 crores, towards salary about 2 lakh 48,000 crores, pension 2 lakh 11,000 crores goes, and for other activities, others 1 lakh 51,000 crores. So others means the TIDA, the LTC, it may be medical reimbursement, it may be the tuition reimbursement, expenditure towards the seminars, workshops, the books and periodicals, libraries, the office equipment, furniture and fixture, the motor vehicles, even the buildings, transportation, accommodation, and again the maintenance of the office equipment, buildings, plant and machinery, so etc. etc. It comes to 6 lakh 10,000 crores. And as I said earlier in the beginning itself, 7 lakh 8,000 crores. 7 lakh 8,000 crores is the expenditure expected. It is the expenditure expected towards the payment of the interest on the borrowed capital by the government of India. So 7 lakh 8,000 rupees. And similarly for the, so this we have to add, this is a very major expenditure, 7 lakh 8,000 crores. So that much debts we have. And for the autonomous bodies, around 83,000 crores is likely to be paid. And for the central public sector undertakings again, 93,000 crores. And transferred to the states, that is by way of finance commission transfers and even the other loans and the grants to the financial institutions, about 3,73,000 crores is the amount that is estimated in our budget estimate. Now let us have a, a bird's eye view on the allocation of funds to the various ministries. The major share is that of the Defence Ministry. So around 4,71,000 crores, that is the allocation earmarked to the Ministry of Defence. And of course, these are all the economics, the general services, Defense Department, I mean the departments like it's Army, Navy, Air Force, DRDO, and even the defense production, ordnance factories, etc. etc. These are all the general services. So 4,71,000 crores is earmarked for the Ministry of Home Affairs. It's only 1,67,000 crores. Agriculture 1,43,000 crores. For the Consumer Affairs and Food, 1,22 crores. Rural Development 1,20 crores. For the HR it's around 99,000 crores. Road Transport 92,000. Railways 72,000 crores, health and family welfare 67,000, housing and urban 50,000 crores, etc. So when I said the railways it is 72, the revenue of the railways itself is around 2 lakh crores. So out of that around 70% of its revenue goes towards its expenditure. And it is left with another 30%, say around 60,000 crores as its net revenue. When I say again 72,000 is the allocation, it means that 60 plus 72 or whatever is the net income, net revenue plus this 72,000 crores. That is the extra expenditure that the department is going to provide for the railways department. Maybe for not only its regular expenditure, even for the extra rails, extra bogies, extra lines, extra schemes, and even the extra bridges and railway bridges, etc., etc., that is likely to be taken up by the government of India. So, in a nutshell, this is all about our expenditure budget. So, similarly, we will just see the receipts budget. So receipts budget means again government of India has to mobilize an equal amount of this 30 lakh 42,000 crores to meet the expenditure. And how does it come in? Well, let us see. See, the receipts are classified into the capital receipts and the revenue receipts. Under capital receipts, there are debt receipts and the non-debt capital receipts. Similarly, under the revenue receipts, there are tax revenues and the non-tax revenues. We will see one by one. So coming to the capital receipts, 10 lakh 21,000 crores is estimated under capital receipts. In this, the debt receipts is 7 lakh 96,000 crores and the non-debt capital receipts 2 lakh 25,000 crores. When I say debt receipts, it's all loans. So they are all the market loans, the internal and external. This is to be paid back along with interest as per terms and conditions of the agreements, okay, of the contract. So this 7 lakh 96,000 crores, Government of India is going to mobilize, is planning to mobilize by taking market loans, by raising market loans and by raising securities against, by issuing securities against the small savings and the state provident fund. So coming to the market loans, they are divided, classified into the internal and the external debts. The internal debts, they are raised by issuing special securities to the public sector banks, by issuing the treasury bills, that is 14 days, 91 days, 182 days, 364 days treasury bills, and by cash management, by way of cash management bills, by way of the ways and means advances, and even by way of the post office life insurance fund, or by issuing the relief bonds, savings bond, gold bonds, etc., etc. This is all about the internal debts. And similarly, the government also raises the funds from the external agencies like IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, the Asian Development Bank, the IRDB, that is the International Bank for the Reconstruction and Development. Similarly, the New Development Bank, NDB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, European Development Bank, the EDB, etc., etc. So this is all about the internal and the external debts, which comprises the debt receipts. Then coming to the non-debt capital receipts, the amount to the extent of 2,25,000 crores, it is to be generated by, that is the plan of the government to generate to this extent as non-debt receipt capital receipts. So these are nothing but the recoveries of loans and advances from the state governments and the statutory bodies to whom Government of India has lent money. Similarly, of course, this will be a very small amount of about 15,000 crores, but the major amount it is planning to come from the disinvestment of government stake, disinvestment of the government stake in public sector banks and financial institutions. So this is a major amount, about 2,10,000 crores. And let us see the next source of receipt, that is the net tax receipts. See, Government of India this time it is planning to earn around 24 lakh crores, 24 lakh crores, 24 lakh 23,000 crores to be more precise, as gross tax, corporation tax, income tax, the GST, union excise, customs, taxes on union territories, etc., etc. So the corporation tax, it is planned around 6.81 lakh crores. Similarly, the income tax 6.38 lakh crores and GST 6.91 lakh crores. Union excise around 2.67 lakh crores. The customs 1.38 lakh crores. So all this totals to 24.23 lakh crores, and this is all the gross collection. But in this, the states will have its share. So if it is 24, so roughly around 7.84 lakh crores will be the state's share. So leaving this, the government will be left with 16.36 lakh crores of tax revenue. And there is also what is called as the non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue to the extent of 3,85,000 crores, that is 3.85 lakh crores. So they are the interest receipts from the states and the union territories. So interest on the loans which it has given to these states, the state governments or the other banks or financial institutions, it's only around 11,000 crores. And then the major income is, major revenue is the dividend and the profit. Dividend and profit from the public sector enterprises, from the nationalized banks, from the RBI, the surplus of RBI that's also flowed back into the government account, and from the financial institutions where government has invested its money, where it has its shares. So that's about 1,55,000 crores. But another important receipt is from the economic services that the government provides to various bodies, institutions, governments. So economic services, as I already explained, I mean services provided by the departments like our railways or postal, atomic energy, animal husbandry, irrigation, civil aviation, industry, so shipping, transport, tourism, foreign trade, the Department of Coal, Department of Energy, Science and Technology, the Rural Development, Forestry and Wildlife, etc., etc. So here, one point that we have to note is the interest receipts of Government of India is only 11,000 crores. Only 11,000, that is 0.11 lakh crores. Whereas the interest that the government has to pay on the loans that it has availed, both internal debts and external debts, is 7 lakh 8,000 crores. That is 7.08 crores. That is the extent of our debts. And that is again only this year's share. So, in a nutshell, this is about the expenditure budget and the receipts budget. So this is the status of the budget estimates as it stands now. And in the month of October again, it's going to be revised. It will become the revised estimates, and the actual position will be in the month of March. That is after 31st March. Okay.